point now, I'm speaking here as the Prime Minister of Dominica. We go to Parliament next week, Wednesday, on the 19th, to present to Parliament a number of very important bills and amendments to existing legislation. We have a supplementary appropriation bill, which will be a total of $103,886,083.25. That's a supplementary appropriation. And a lot of monies were money spent on responding to Tropical Storm Erica. You understand? For example, here, and we'll give details to the Parliament next week, the Ministry of Public Works, 65 million. 65 million, Ministry of Public Works. The Ministry of Social Services, Family and Affairs, $8.22 million. Majority of which went to the resettlement issues, the provision of payment of rents for everybody who's been impacted by the storm who had to relocate from their homes. Payment of income support. Payment of 60% of the value of that which was affected by the storm in terms of household goods and appliances. 60%, you know? And the list goes on and on. And of course, we'll get the Parliament. So $103.886 million in terms of supplementary appropriation. The other bill which we'll take to Parliament is the geothermal bill. And I want to commend the Minister and the staff and of course the Cabinet and the various persons who've assisted us in this. And of course, it will be the geothermal development, the geothermal resources development bill, which speaks to all matters relative to the development of our geothermal resources. It is a very comprehensive piece of legislation that has gone through numerous drafts and reviews by the regional and international agencies. We've gotten technical assistance from the government of New Zealand. The World Bank reviewed this. The Agence Française, the developer, also had a part to play in it. The government of New Zealand, locally. So there's been an extensive review of this legislation, and will be presented to Parliament when we meet next week. The other bill that will be putting forward to Parliament is the amendment to the Sexual Offences Act. So the Cabinet has approved and submitted this to Parliament, so that will be debated next week. It is amendments based on consultation with a wide cross-section of the Dominican community, and those amendments will be presented to the Parliament next week. You also have other bills which will be amended. For example, the Value Added Tax Act will be amended. In keeping with some policy decisions taken by the Cabinet and presented to the Parliament. For example, one of which is increasing the tax threshold from 120,000 as it currently stands in legislation to 250,000. So anybody whose turnover will be 250,000 or less will not be required to make a VAT declaration. And this will save a number of small businesses several thousands of dollars annually in the preparation of their submission to the VAT office. And there'll be amendment to a bill for an act to amend the International Exempt Trust Act. There's also a bill for an act to amend the Tax Information Exchange Act, and of course in this amendment is a matter of sharing information and addressing some administrative issues based on our interaction with the OECD and the FATF. And there's a bill for an act to amend the International Business Companies Act, dealing with some shortcomings in the legislation, particularly with regards to the introduction of technology within the registration of companies in Dominica. The other bill is for all three readings for a bill for an act to make provision in relation to bail in or in connection with criminal proceedings in Dominica and for related matters. There has always been a concern by the legal fraternity about the bail and on what matters should be considered and how they should be considered when bail, the claim for bail or request for bail is made to the court. So we're seeking to define it much more clearly for the courts in order how we treat with bail, particularly in connection with criminal proceedings in Dominica. I think Minister Blackmore, the concern there has been for serious crimes. People get bail and they're back on the streets, and the country, the residents have been raising concern about this. How could this guy have killed somebody and next day he's walking out on the streets, like nothing happened? And I think it's an effort for the government to respond in to concerns. And we also have a bill, an act to amend the Tourism Regulations and Standard Act of 2005. Of course, as time goes by, there's an evolution in the tourism industry. We have to ensure that we are up to date with our standards and our regulations, because people have to understand, while you may have a country for people to visit and you may have attractions for people to enjoy, these people who are coming, the tourists who are coming, they want to ensure that they come into a country where there are proper rules and regulations and standards. Whether it's a hotel you have, there are certain international standards which you must adhere to. Your facilities, there are certain standards you must meet. The tour operators, the taxi drivers, there's certain things that you must have on your bus. Your bus can't not have been washed. All of these streams we have and all these things we have in water in Dominica for days, because all of these things impact. When there's a review of how was your experience in Dominica, all of these things count. All of these things count, so we have to ensure that there are standards in the tourism industry. So I think these are the matters which the government will be taking to the Parliament. And of course, there's the Security Benefit Amendment Regulations. That's in keeping with also with some requests from the Social Security, but also with regards to some of the pronouncements made by the government during the budget debate. Okay. I think I will stop here to allow you questions.